Maya's laughter filled the air of the small colony square, her joyful shouts blending with those of other children playing around her. The square was a place of peace, far removed from the political tensions and conflicts that rippled through the galaxy. It was a neutral ground, a tiny sanctuary on the fringes of human space. Parents watched their children with relaxed smiles, neighbors chatted, and the sun bathed the square in warm light. For a moment, it seemed like nothing could shatter this tranquility. Without warning, a high-pitched whine sliced through the air, growing louder with each passing second. The ground trembled as people looked up, eyes squinting against the glare of the midday sun. A shape appeared, a council drone, sleek and menacing, descending rapidly from the sky. Confusion quickly turned to panic. Screams erupted, mothers called out to their children, and people scrambled for cover. The drone paused, as if assessing its target, then unleashed a barrage of fire. Explosions rocked the square. Debris flew everywhere, and smoke filled the air. Maya, caught in the chaos, tried to run but was thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. Her small body lay still amidst the ruins of what was moments ago a vibrant, happy scene. Medics rushed in, but it was too late. Maya's bright, innocent eyes would never open again. The news spread like wildfire, from one colony to the next, from the farthest reaches of space to the heart of Earth itself. The name of Maya, an innocent child, echoed across human territories, becoming a symbol of senseless loss. The footage of the drone strike, the child's lifeless body, and the grief-stricken faces of survivors was broadcasted everywhere. Fury erupted across human space. Protests broke out, people demanded answers, and Maya's parents, inconsolable, wept before the cameras, asking why their little girl had been taken from them. This was not just a tragedy, it was an atrocity. Earth's leaders immediately sought answers. They demanded justice, a thorough investigation, and accountability from the Intergalactic Council. Diplomatic channels buzzed with activity as Earth's government dispatched an official delegation to confront the Council. The human ambassadors stood before the Council's assembly, their faces grim, their voices filled with righteous anger. They laid out the facts, showed the footage, and asked, in a tone that brooked no argument, how this could have happened. But the Council's response was dismissive, almost casual. They referred to the child's death as a regrettable mistake, an unfortunate consequence of necessary military operations. One of the Council representatives, his tone filled with cold indifference, called the death an acceptable loss in the pursuit of maintaining galactic order. The humans were mocked for their grief, their demand for justice ridiculed as an overreaction. To the Council, the humans were a minor annoyance, their outrage a mere inconvenience. They had expected the humans to accept the apology, perhaps a token gesture of compensation, and move on. After all, in their eyes, Earth was just another small player in a galaxy full of larger, more significant powers. But on Earth, the response was immediate and visceral. Maya's name became a rallying cry. From the highest levels of government to the most remote colonies, the message was clear: this act would not be forgotten. It would not go unpunished. The humans were done being ignored, done being dismissed. The human ambassador, a seasoned diplomat known for his calm demeanor, stood before the Council once more. His voice, usually measured and composed, trembled with controlled rage. His eyes, red from sleepless nights and tears, met those of the Council members. He spoke with a quiet intensity, a promise rather than a threat. You have insulted us, taken an innocent life, and mocked our grief. This will not go unanswered. The Council members laughed, confident in their position, convinced that humans would do nothing more than bluster. They were wrong. So very wrong. Within the grand chambers of the Intergalactic Council, laughter echoed off the walls. The members, a collection of species from across the galaxy, mocked the humans' impassioned pleas for justice. To them, the humans were insignificant, a minor race with no real power or influence. The Council continued with their business, dismissing the incident as nothing more than a diplomatic inconvenience. They underestimated humanity, seeing them as too small to pose any real threat. Confident in their superiority, they moved on to other matters, completely unaware that they had crossed a line that would soon shatter their complacency. Back on Earth, the mood was tense. In a hidden underground bunker, the planet's highest-ranking officials gathered in secret. The air was thick with anger, grief, and a determination that bordered on defiance. The leaders debated their next move. Some argued for restraint, fearing the repercussions of any rash action. "We cannot win a war against the Council," one official warned, his voice filled with caution. "An attack would be suicide." Others, their voices heavy with emotion, urged immediate retaliation. "They killed one of our children," a general argued, his fists clenched. "We cannot let this go unpunished." The room fell silent as the President of Earth, a figure known for their calm and measured leadership, listened to the arguments. After a long pause, the President stood and spoke, revealing a secret that had been guarded for centuries. "There is another option," the President began, their voice steady. "One that the Council would never expect." The officials leaned in, listening intently. "Long ago, our ancestors foresaw a time when humanity might face an existential threat. In preparation, they built a fleet, a secret fleet, hidden in the depths of space. A fleet unlike any the galaxy has ever seen." The room buzzed with murmurs of disbelief. Some knew the rumors, the myths of the so-called Ancient Armada, but few had ever believed them to be true. "The Ancient Armada exists," the President continued. "A fleet of warships equipped with technology far more advanced than anything the Council possesses. It has been lying dormant, waiting for the moment we would need it most. That moment is now." Silence fell over the room again, but this time, it was different. The atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to resolve. The officials understood what this meant. The stakes were high, and this decision could change the course of human history. "If we unleash the Ancient Armada," one leader cautioned, "it will be seen as an act of war. There will be no turning back." The President nodded, acknowledging the gravity of the situation. "I am aware of the risks," they said, "but we cannot let them kill our children and mock our grief without consequence. This is not a war of conquest. This is a fight for justice, for our very dignity as a species." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. The decision was made. Earth would strike back. They would show the Council that humanity was not to be underestimated or ignored. Orders were given, and the wheels of war began to turn. The President issued a final command, authorizing the activation of the Ancient Armada. Engineers and military personnel, sworn to secrecy, were dispatched to the hidden docks where the fleet lay in stasis. The vast warships, dormant for centuries, began to hum with life as energy flowed through their massive structures. Lights flickered on, engines roared to life, and weapon systems were calibrated for battle. Across Earth and its colonies, the call to arms went out. Pilots, technicians, and soldiers prepared for deployment, their expressions a mix of determination and solemn duty. They knew the risks. They knew the costs could be high. But they also knew what was at stake. This was not a fight they had chosen, but it was one they were ready to face. In the command center, the President and their advisors watched as the final preparations were made. The Ancient Armada was ready. The massive ships, some as large as cities, emerged from their hidden berths, their sleek forms cutting through the darkness of space. A sense of purpose, of righteous fury, filled the hearts of everyone involved. The President looked at the screen displaying the fleet, then at their assembled commanders. "This is not just a response," the President declared. "This is a statement. To the Council, to the galaxy, and to ourselves. We will not be cowed. We will not be mocked. We will fight for justice." With a nod, the command was given. The Ancient Armada began its journey, moving silently through the void, carrying with it the hopes and resolve of an entire planet. Earth's leaders watched, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. They knew they had set in motion events that could change everything, but they were ready to face whatever came next. The die had been cast, and there was no turning back. The Ancient Armada stirred to life, emerging from its centuries-long slumber deep within the asteroid belt. These colossal ships, their designs both alien and terrifying, glided out of their hidden docks, their surfaces gleaming with a dark, enigmatic sheen. They were massive, each one a fortress in its own right, equipped with technology that had been hidden from the galaxy for generations. As power surged through their systems, the Armada's engines roared, and the cold darkness of space was illuminated by their awakening. With swift precision, Earth's military command directed the fleet toward key intergalactic council strongholds and military installations. The Armada moved with an eerie silence, its sheer size and power dwarfing anything in its path. The Council's early warning systems, designed to detect known threats, were overwhelmed by the sudden appearance of these massive, unknown ships. Alerts blared across their networks, confusion and panic spreading like wildfire. The Council had been prepared for many scenarios, but nothing like this. The Armada was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Caught off guard, the Council's forces scrambled to mount a defense. Fleets, once confident in their might, were thrown into chaos. Commanders barked orders, deploying their ships in hastily arranged formations, hoping to repel the unexpected attack. But Earth's tactics were calculated and precise. The Armada moved in coordinated waves, striking swiftly and decisively. The Council's defenses crumbled under the onslaught. Their ships, despite their advanced technology, were no match for the devastating weaponry of the Armada. Laser beams sliced through hulls, missiles tore through shields, and entire cruisers were reduced to floating debris within moments. The battle unfolded with a relentless intensity. Earth's commanders, well-versed in strategy and equipped with cutting-edge analytics, anticipated every move of the Council's fleets. They executed maneuvers with flawless precision, exploiting every weakness and outmaneuvering the enemy at every turn. The Council's ships, once a symbol of galactic authority, were shattered, their remnants scattered across the void. Strongholds that had stood for centuries crumbled under the relentless bombardment. Planetary defenses were neutralized with stunning efficiency, their energy shields buckling under sustained fire, their armories destroyed before they could even be fully deployed. Across the galaxy, news of the assault spread like a shockwave. From distant star systems to hidden outposts, species and factions watched in stunned silence. Some were horrified by the sheer display of power, others, long oppressed by the Council's heavy hand, found a spark of hope in humanity's unexpected defiance. Whispers filled the interstellar channels. Could this be the beginning of the end for the Council's dominance? Could the humans, thought to be insignificant, actually bring the mighty Council to its knees? For some, it was an opportunity, a chance to challenge the old order while it was weakened, to carve out a new place for themselves in a changing galaxy. Yet, amidst the chaos and confusion, one message from humanity was broadcast repeatedly across every frequency, every channel. It was clear, unwavering, and firm. This is not a war of conquest. This is a fight for justice. Human commanders made it known that their actions were driven by a singular purpose: to hold the Council accountable for the death of an innocent child. They demanded answers and reparation, and they would not rest until the Council responded for its arrogance and brutality. The Armada, unstoppable in its advance, was not here to claim territory but to seek justice. With every victory, humanity's resolve became more apparent. Each Council defeat underscored the message: this was a retribution, not an invasion. The Council, so used to being the ultimate authority, was now forced to confront a reality they had never anticipated: that a species they had considered inferior would stand against them, not for power, but for principle. The ancient Armada continued its march, a testament to Earth's strength and its unyielding commitment to justice. The galaxy watched in awe, and the Council, once so arrogant, now faced an enemy they could no longer afford to ignore. Realizing the magnitude of their mistake, the Intergalactic Council scrambled to regroup. Shocked by the unexpected might of the ancient Armada, they hastily gathered their remaining fleets and resources. The Council had believed their initial forces would be more than enough to crush any human retaliation. Now, they faced a sobering reality. They had severely underestimated not just Earth's technological capabilities, but also its resolve. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, they mobilized every available warship and summoned reinforcements from distant sectors. Their commanders, once confident of their superiority, now strategized with a mix of urgency and fear. A decision was made to confront the Armada in a strategically crucial star system, one that controlled key trade routes and supply lines. The Council's forces, amassed in numbers that dwarfed Earth's fleet, positioned themselves for a decisive counterattack. Their warships, ranging from colossal dreadnoughts to nimble fighters, formed a vast, seemingly impenetrable barrier. They deployed their most advanced ships, equipped with experimental weapons that had never been tested in combat. With their full might assembled, the Council was prepared to unleash a storm of firepower to crush the human fleet once and for all. As the battle commenced, the star system became a theater of intense combat. The Council launched wave after wave of ships, flooding the battlefield with their overwhelming numbers. Explosions flared across the void, and energy beams sliced through the darkness, creating a spectacle of destruction. But Earth's commanders were prepared. They had anticipated the Council's every move and executed a series of flawless maneuvers that left the Council's forces bewildered. The Armada, with its superior technology and unmatched coordination, moved like a well-oiled machine, striking with precision and agility. Despite the chaos around them, Earth's tactical brilliance shone through. The human fleet utilized advanced cloaking devices, electronic warfare systems, and unexpected flanking maneuvers, constantly staying one step ahead of the Council's forces. The ancient Armada's weapons proved devastatingly effective, cutting through the Council's ships with ruthless efficiency. Council vessels, once thought indestructible, fell one by one under the relentless assault. The Council's commanders, growing increasingly frustrated, tried every tactic they knew: formation shifts, diversionary attacks, feigned retreats, but nothing seemed to break the Armada's advance. With each passing moment, the Council's desperation grew. Their forces were being decimated at an alarming rate. Commanders shouted orders with a mix of panic and resolve, knowing that their very survival depended on finding a way to turn the tide. Behind closed doors, Council members debated drastic measures. Some proposed deploying weapons of mass destruction, devices so powerful they could obliterate entire fleets with a single strike. Yet, even in their desperation, ethical conflicts arose. Many feared the repercussions of using such weapons, not just from a moral standpoint but from a strategic one. They risked inciting a level of retaliation that could lead to their total annihilation. The debate became heated. Some members advocated for a negotiated settlement, suggesting that they could offer reparations or concessions to avoid further losses. But the dominant faction, unwilling to show weakness, insisted on continuing the fight. "We are the Council," one of them declared. "We do not bend to the demands of a lesser species." Their arrogance remained, even as their fleets were torn apart. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders stayed firm. Offers of negotiation trickled in, vague and insincere, seeking a way out without truly addressing the root cause. Earth's response was unyielding. The demands were clear and unwavering: full accountability for the death of the human child, public acknowledgement of the crime, and reparations. Nothing less would suffice. Earth's leaders made it clear they were not seeking to dominate or conquer, they were demanding justice. As the Council's losses mounted, their stubborn refusal to fully concede led them further into chaos. Earth's commanders pressed their advantage, exploiting every sign of weakness, every hesitation in the Council's response. The human fleet, though smaller in number, was relentless, pushing forward with a singular focus. The message was unmistakable: surrender, or face total annihilation. The Council, once so confident, now stood on the brink, caught between their pride and the devastating reality of their situation. With their forces reduced to a fraction of their former strength, the Intergalactic Council prepared for a final stand. Their fleets, battered and weakened, gathered at their last remaining stronghold. Desperation hung in the air. They knew this was their last chance to save face, to salvage what remained of their reputation and authority. Earth's commanders, observing the Council's movements, sensed their growing panic. Despite the damage done, Earth extended one last offer of surrender, making it clear that this battle was never about power or conquest. It was about justice, about answering for a crime that could not be ignored. But pride and fear clouded the Council's judgment, and they rejected the offer, choosing to fight to the very end. The Council's fleets, fueled by a mix of desperation and defiance, launched into battle. Their ships, though fewer in number, charged forward with reckless abandon, hoping to overwhelm the Armada in one last, decisive blow. But the outcome was never in doubt. The ancient Armada, still fully operational and driven by a clear sense of purpose, met the attack head-on. Earth's commanders, calm and resolute, directed their forces with unwavering precision. The Armada moved like a force of nature, relentless and unyielding. It tore through the Council's defenses, dismantling their ships one by one. The battle, fierce but brief, ended in the inevitable. The Council's final stronghold, a once impenetrable fortress, fell under the crushing weight of the Armada's firepower. The Council's last warships were obliterated or forced into retreat. There was no longer any doubt about who held the upper hand. Broken and defenseless, the Council had no choice but to concede defeat. With their fleets decimated and their stronghold in ruins, they sent a formal message of surrender to Earth. The terms were simple and direct, complete and unconditional. They agreed to all of Earth's demands, knowing they had no other option. In the aftermath of the conflict, Earth stood firm in its expectations. Reparations were demanded, not just in material form but in public acknowledgement of the crime committed. The Council, now humbled and significantly weakened, agreed to Earth's terms. They publicly admitted their wrongdoing, acknowledged the unjust death of the human child, and vowed never to dismiss humanity again. The declaration spread across the galaxy, a rare moment of humility from a body that had long viewed itself as the ultimate authority. They pledged to never underestimate or belittle humanity again, aware now of the consequences of such arrogance. Earth's message to the galaxy was clear and unambiguous. They were a force to be reckoned with, not out of a desire for conquest, but from a need to protect their own. The incident served as a stark warning to any who might consider threatening human lives in the future. No longer would humanity be seen as a minor player on the galactic stage. They had proven their strength, not through sheer force, but through their unyielding commitment to justice and their willingness to defend their own at any cost. As the dust settled, there was a moment of reflection. The victory, though decisive, had come at a cost. The loss of a child had set these events into motion, a reminder of the fragile line between peace and conflict. Humanity celebrated its triumph, but the celebrations were tinged with a somber understanding of what had been lost and the weight of the decisions that had led them here. The leaders of Earth spoke not of glory, but of the necessity of their actions, of the lines they had been forced to cross. The final message from Earth was one of resilience and resolve. They had faced an unforgivable act and had responded with strength and determination. Their actions were not driven by a desire for war, but by an unbreakable commitment to justice. In the end, it was not their ships or their weapons that had won the day, but their unwavering spirit. They had stood tall in the face of arrogance and cruelty, and had shown the galaxy that humanity would always fight for what was right. The lesson was clear: humanity would not seek conflict, but if threatened, they would not hesitate to defend themselves, no matter the cost.